Hello, welcome to Just Prime. And as part of this video, we are going to see another important OOPS principle called interface. So, as part of this video, we are going to see uh, first we are going to understand what is the definition of interface and basically how we are going to define the interface. And the next one is like what are the advantages of interface using. And the third one, we are going to see how we are going to implement the interface with an example, with real-time example. And the finally we are going to see what are the rules we have to follow when we are trying to implement the interface. So these are the four concepts we are going to understand as part of this video, right? Okay, let's jump into the first part. First, like I said, right, so what is the definition, how we are going to define the interface, right? So an interface is a contract between the client and service provider. So this is the simple definition we can say. So basically it is trying to define a contract between the client and the service provider, right? So here we can understand two terms, client and service provider, right? So the client who he is going to use our service, and service who is going to implement and it will expose to the client, right? So these are the two terms. So we are going to see this example with practically, so then we can able to understand it very easily. Okay, now the second thing we need to understand, like what are the advantages, why we need to use this interface concept, right? So the first advantage is we can able to achieve the multi inheritance. Like I said previously, we discussed about inheritance. So Java will support only single inheritance, so it will not support multi inheritance. So we are going to achieve partially over here multi inheritance with the help of interface. So this is one of the advantage. And the second major advantage is security. This is one of the most a feature. With the help of interface we can able to achieve it, security. And the third one is abstraction. So abstraction indirectly it will related to your security only. So basically the abstraction will give you the benefit of hiding the implementation and showcase or showing only the necessary API information. So this is one of the things we are going to achieve it with the help of interface. So these are the three main advantages: multi-inheritance, security, or abstraction. And you can, so these are the advantages, and we can see this interface usage in our real time as well. Like we will discuss about one of the simple ATM example, and like JDBC API, Solid API. So these are the advanced concept, so we'll be discussing in the future, but these are one of the use cases like ATM, JDBC API, Solid API. Everywhere we can see here, right? API, application program interface, Solid API, so servlet application program interface. So these are the some of the real-time examples where we are using interface, right? Okay, without wasting time, let's jump into one of the real-time examples. So that way we can able to understand it very easily with an example. So let me open my Eclipse. So I'm going to create a simple package under oops demo. Oops dot interface. So this is our package. So inside this I'm going to create an interface. So to create an interface we have to use interface keyword followed by interface name, right? So what I'm going to do here, the simple example, so I'm going to create a bank service which will provide the debit, credit, and getting the balance information. These are the services it will provide it. So I'm going to define a service interface and with the help of interface keyword. So how we are going to create the interface? So you just do right click and go. So there is a, you can able to see, right, Eclipse will provide by default interface an option. You can click over here. So here you need to provide the interface name. So like previously we had created many Java files name, right? So similarly we need to provide here the interface name. So I'm going to add here. So this is one of the interface name, and let me finish it. Yes. So interface is generated. If you see here, it's the package. So whatever I created the package, inside the package, so this interface is generated with the keyword as interface. So we created previously Java classes, the class keyword, but whereas interface will be created with the help of interface keyword, and the interface is a keyword, and bank service is our interface name. Okay, so now inside this interface, like I said, right? So interface mainly it will define the contract between the client and service provider. So what is the contract here? So interface will define mainly the contract. So it will define what are the methods. An example over here. So what is the method? What the inputs it will take? What the output it will return? So this is a simple contract. It will not explain all detailed implementation part. It will just give you details of what is the API name, what are the inputs it will take, what the output it will return it. So that's the simple way we can able to define it. So interface, this is one a simple definition, and so interface should have 100% abstract methods. That means previously we have seen, right, like abstract class can have abstract methods as well as concrete methods, but whereas in case of interface you have to declare 100% abstract methods only. You cannot provide any implementation, right? So first let me define some of the abstract methods. So I'm going to define void edit. So this is one of the simple method basically, uh, which is abstract method, and by default all the methods which is available inside the interface public abstract method, and you no need to specify over here. So it is not required actually, right? So this is an optional. So inside the interface all the methods are public and abstract, so you no need to specify public abstract, you can remove it, right? And so void is the return type, and this is your API name. And the credit, so credit is one of the abstract methods. Whenever we are trying to do credit, right, so we have to give the account number and int amount. So these are the two parameters which we are going to take, and we'll be crediting this amount to into this account. So this is one of the simple method. I'm going to define a contract, and similarly I'm going to define another contract called debit. So this debit also similar. So it will take an account number and it will take the amount. So it will try to debit the amount from this uh, account, and it may debit to or it may credit to this account. So this is the way we have to define the inputs and define the output. So you can define here boolean status if you want to success or failure, whatever. So that way you can define the different return types, right? So this is the one of the way you can define the contract, which will define the expected inputs and expected output. So how the implementation will happen, so that will be seeing here later. So let me define another last contract method, balance. So basically I'm going to define another method, so which will take an account number and which will give the give back the balance amount. So these are the three simple methods which I am defining as a contract and credit, debit and balance, right? So this is a contract I have defined, and API names, inputs, return types, right? So like I said, inside the interface all methods are by default public and abstract, you no need to define it, right? So this is one of the interface what we have defined it. So now our interface is ready. So this is the interface we are going to hand over, or we are going to give this contract to the client people. Client in the sense who is going to consume our service, who is going to call our APIs, who is going to give the inputs, and who is going to take the response back to them. So this is the client use case. So before giving this interface to the client, right, so we have to provide the implementation, right? So how we are going to provide the implementation part? So how we are going to implement these abstract methods? So these methods don't have any implementation part so far. So how we are going to provide the implementation? So that is the second part. The first part is define the interface contract. The second part is implement the interface. So to provide the implementation, we have to write another class. So basically I'm trying to implement this interface with the help of bank service implementation class. So let me, this is a class. If you see here, this is Java class, so it's not an interface. So I'm going to take another class. So to provide the implementation, basically we have three abstract methods. So I have to provide the implementation for all three methods. So let me try to do this one. Implements. So implements is a keyword which will be useful to provide the implementation for a given interface. So implements is a keyword, then followed by bank service. So implement is a keyword and bank service the interface. So we are providing the implementation for this interface inside this class, right? So now the third part is we have to provide the implementation for all the methods which is available inside this interface. So if you don't know how many interface or how many abstract methods are there, so you can do control spacebar, so then you can able to see all the abstract methods over here. You see that balance, you can see there is a symbol, credit there is a symbol, debit there is a symbol. So that means these are the three abstract methods is available under bank service. And we can see here bank service IMPL, it's one of the constructor which is inside this class, and this is the concrete methods, concrete one. So this is the way you can able to see all the abstract methods which is available inside the interface. So let me select any one of the methods which you want to provide the implementation. So remove all those things, and you can write here a simple statement. So balance return success. So what I'm trying to do over here, so I'm just printing a simple statement which will be helpful for our understanding purpose. And let me give the balance is 100, right? So I'm returning the balance finally, and also I'm printing a simple statements. If you see over here, right, so there is a error. It is saying, it's saying multiple markets. So the type bank service implement uh, inherit abstract methods, right? So basically what it is saying, still we have some more abstract methods which is not provide implementation. So that's what it is saying, right? So as long as if you are not providing implementation for all the methods, so we have to mark this class as a abstract. So this is one of the way we can able to so this is one of the way we can able to avoid the implementation in your implementation class. If you don't know how to implement all the abstract methods, you can mark your class as abstract method, and somebody else who is going to extend this class, so they have to provide the implementation. So this is one of the way you can provide partial implementation for your interface. So the another way is, if you don't want to make your classes abstract, you have to provide implementation for all the methods. So let me provide this method as well. So I'm going to write a simple statement here. Credit success. And the last one is balance info, right? So if you want to see the pending abstract methods which is not yet implemented, control spacebar, you can able see over here a debit, then click over here, and so you can remove all this default Java documentation. So return balance success. So basically I'm just trying to print everywhere the simple SSS source, so that way we can able to use this one for our understanding purpose, right? So let me minimize this one. Yes, so now we have provided implementation for all the three abstract methods, and your implementation is done. Now finally the last third part is, so how we are going to use this one, like I said, right? So interface is a contract between the client and service provider. So now our service is ready. So now we have to create a simple test client. So how we are going to create the client? So to test this or to test or to consume these methods, I'm going to create a simple Java class which is having a main method, so that we will consider as our client. So this is our client and this is Java class. So I need here a main method. So let me select this one and let me remove all this default one. So like I said, so interface is a contract between client and service provider, right? So now we have a service IMPL, we have interface, but how you are going to expose your service to the your client, right? So this is very important point, and this is where we are trying to achieve the abstraction security, right? So let me create an object for our interface first, and let me access my methods. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to create an object for my interface to access the methods. So this is our interface and this is object name, and this is the way I'm trying to create object with the help of new keyword. But so there is an error is coming over here. So what is this? Cannot instantiate the type of bank service. That means it's saying we cannot create an object for interface. So this is the rule number one. So interface, we cannot create an object for interface, but how we are going to use that methods, then this is the second uh, point you need to understand it. So whenever we are trying to access the interface implementation, so the object should be created with the help of the implementation class, not with the interface. So we have to replace this bank service with bank service IMPL, right? So bank service IMPL is the place where we had provided the actual implementation. So this is the implemented class object and we are assigning to interface. So this is the way we can expose this object to the client at any time, and they can able to use all the methods, right? So they can see, by seeing this object they can see here balance, credit, debit, and all these are, it will display to the client as abstract methods, right? So they cannot see the implementation over here, these are abstracted. So let me get here, so this is my account and let me call this one and let me get my balance. Yes, if you see here, right, so balance return success. So basically what I'm trying to say here, so we are exposing only the interface and abstract methods. We are not exposing to the client directly the implementation class or implementation details. We are exposing the interface and abstract methods details we are giving, and we can able to get the result back. Let me call another methods. Credit. So I'm going to give my account number and amount. So let me call the method. Yes, you can able to see here I received my balance, first method results, and credit success. So please excuse my typo over here. And the last service I'm going to call the debit info. So to debit I need to provide my account number and the amount. So this is the way I can able to, sorry, debit. So I have to provide the another account number where the funds supposed to be transferred. So this is the way I can able to call my debit service, and I can able to provide the inputs, and I'm getting the proper response. You can run it. Like I said, also it's written in the so if you go back to our interface, we can see over here, so the interface a balance, it's written in an integer and it's written in a boolean, right? So if you want to take the return values, so balance, it will return a boolean value, So boolean. So this is the way you can able to so this is integer. So this is the way you can able to uh, catch the return value, and you can able to hold the corresponding data type, right? Similarly, you can able to get the debit status. So basically, debit service will return the status whether the fund is debited successfully or not. So this is the way it can able to return the status, and we can able to see these out statements. That means this API got executed successfully, and we can able to see the assist out output. So this is the way we can able to expose only the interface to the client and the corresponding object, not the implementation details. Implementation details will never expose to the user, and only interface and abstract methods. So that way we can able to achieve the abstraction, security, right? So these are the two use cases. And the third one, like I said, right, like multi inheritance, we are going to achieve with the help of interface. So how we are going to achieve it? So if you see here the implementation, so basically here I can able, I so far I have implemented only one interface. So now I am going to write another interface for my bank, like debit card. So I'm going to write another interface, a debit card. So this is another interface, and finish it. So here basically I'm going to write two methods: saving account, int account number, current account, account number. So these are the two methods I'm trying to write, or a contract, and I'm going to mention here void. So these are the two contract APIs which I have written over here, and the method names, inputs and outputs, right? So this is one of the another interface what I have written over here for my bank service. So now I have to provide the implementation for this interface as well. So how can I provide it? But I have only one IMPL I'm managing right now. If I want to provide the implementation for the second interface, you can come over here and you can place over here. So that way you can able to achieve multiple inheritance. You can see one implements keyword followed by multiple or more than one interfaces. So if we see over here, after adding another interface implementation part, so then our interface or Eclipse is generating an error. It's saying it is not implemented completely abstract methods which is coming from the super interfaces. So if you want to see the latest upcoming abstract methods, you can do control tab, and we can able to see here two methods: current account, saving account, and corresponding methods. You can select one by one and provide the implementation. So but still it is saying error because we have another abstract methods which is not provided the implementation part. So remove it. So we have provided implementation. So we are not concentrated about a full logic. We are trying to understand the methods declaration and use cases, right? So this is the way you can able to achieve the multiple inheritance with the help of interface, right? So these are the three examples. I mean, advantage we can able to achieve. We can able to understand with the help of this example. So what I want to do, I just want to recap some more points which is related to interface. We have discussed about, so inside the interface all methods are by default public and abstract. You no need to write that public and abstract keywords. It's a default public and abstract. So for instance, so far we have discussed about methods inside the interface. What about the variables? Let me declare integer bank code, right? So this is my bank code. So there is a variable I have declared bank code and integer, right? So it's integer and 8 some number I had given, right? So what is the advantage of this? What is the specialty of this variables, right? So inside the interface, what are the variables you are declaring? all the variables are public, static and final. So that means static asset, public, static, final. Let me write over here, public and static and final. So one word we know very well, right? Static. Static means so we can able to access these variables without creating any object. So let me try to access this variable inside my main class. Yes, so this is my main class, teacher bank code equal to bank service. So if you see here at bank service dot, I can able to see over here bank code, and you can see static final. So let me select, so I can able to access this variable very easily without creating any object. Let me go to my interface and let me remove these things. What will happen? Can my service still it is working? Yes, it is working. So that means inside the interface all the variables are by default public and static and final, right? So this is another rule we have to keep in our mind. So all the methods are public and abstract, all the variables are public, static, final. And next one, say for instance if we have more than one interface, in our case we have more than one interface, right? So at the IMPL side we have provided over here, so we can able to achieve here multiple inheritance. If we don't want to mention over here, so what is the best place we can able to add over here? You can come to here, and this is an interface. One interface can extend and another interface, right? So this is interface and this is also another interface. So one interface can extend another interface, whereas one class implements another interface. So this is another example, right? So one interface can extend another interface. So this is another rule we have to keep in our mind whenever we are trying to work with interfaces. So the another final rule, right? So interface cannot be final. So what will happen if I keep here final? So when I keep in final keyword in front of interface, it's saying Eclipse is raising an error. It's saying illegal modifier for interface. So only public or abstract are permitted. So that means interface cannot be final at any time, because if you make this as a final, nobody can extend, nobody can provide implementation for an interface. So it's a meaningless. So that's the reason interface will never be final. Similarly, the methods what we are defining over here, so this also will never become final. That means if you make this as a final, nobody can override these methods. So this is the another rule we have to keep in our mind. So interface or abstract methods will never be final. I think these are some of the rules we have to keep in our mind whenever we are trying to provide the implementation for our interfaces. And the last one is, so whenever we are providing the two interfaces, it can be implemented in a single class, like I said over here, implements followed by two classes, two interfaces. This can be separated by comma, else you can keep all the interfaces in one place, which can be extended. One interface can extend another interface. So this is another way we can able to manage it. So this is up to like how we are defining the interface. Interfaces can be defined in the same way, like a similar person or different teams. So if the interfaces are defined by similar teams, so then we can able to create all the interface as a chain like for here. Else you can provide the implementation with the help of multi-inheritance. So these are the two ways we can able to provide the implementation by using the class, or we can able to make chain of interfaces with the help of extend keywords. I think that's all about this video. We have discussed about the definition, advantages, examples, and rules, right? Yeah, That's all about this video, and if you like the video you can click the like button and subscribe the channel for more subsequent videos, and thanks for your time.